Hello, this is Catherine from Accelerated Reader Reading Books for You. Today I will be reading Chapter 51 from Two Worlds, a novel of friends and foes from strange places, by Laura T. Lee. Before I begin reading, I would like to give a big thanks to the author for sending me this book to read on my channel. In the description below, I've included links where you may find and purchase this book. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Chapter 51. As soon as Lily and Winida exited the room, Tara and Stacy pounced on them, demanding they explain what happened and saying that they wouldn't leave the building unless Lily talked now. When they were finally satisfied, Jake shut the door and they started the long task of getting out of the Empire State Building without being noticed. The police officers were still positioned around the skyscraper, so Lily eventually had to dig out another grenade from her bag and blow up the nearest tree as a distraction. Afterward, things got easier. Lily caught up with a hover cab and told the driver to follow a trail of gray mist that had suddenly appeared. Thankfully, the man didn't question her. When she and her friends arrived at the entrance of a street, it was around 5 o'clock in the afternoon. They paid the cab driver and climbed out of the bus. As they walked down the sidewalk, Lily heard Stacy say, "Look at all the robots." Lily peered into the street, looking at the robot animals, the greatest creatures to arrive in electronics. There was a dog, a cat, and a bird, all wandering around aimlessly on the sidewalk. Jake blinked. I heard that there was a fourth robot. Scientists wanted it to be the biggest and the strongest of its kind. They didn't even bother trying to make it resemble any normal animal. In fact, it was meant to be a secret to the people of Earth. But it turned wild and disappeared. Lily frowned. "How do you know all of this?" "The news, obviously." Tara glanced down the street. "Well, it isn't here. See, look. There are only 3 robots." Crunch. Lily froze. Slowly, she turned around. It took Lily a while to take in the massive metal form looming in front of her, munching down on a lamppost. The robot seemed vaguely familiar, with a name that Lily couldn't quite place. Her friends had turned around, gaping at the thing looking down at them. "Nobody move a muscle," Lily whispered through gritted teeth. Tara stepped backward and bumped into a wall. Roar! The robot leaped at them. Its teeth and eyes flashed with a petrifying menace. Now, Lily realized the kind of robot the scientists had cooked up in their lab. A Tyrannosaurus Rex. "Go, go, go!" Lily grabbed Winida's hand and they sprinted out of the street. Winida was faster, that's her, and soon her hand slipped from Lily's grasp. The others ran past her, ducking for cover as the humongous T-Rex emerged from the street, demolishing buildings like they were made from paper and bellowing in rage. Lily was so overcome with fear she felt glued to the ground. She knew she should run, but something kept her back. She and her friends needed a place to hide. Lily wasn't sure if the strongest bomb shelter in the world would stand the weight of a 10-ton dinosaur. Already, the wailing of police sirens was echoing around them. "Lily, what are you doing?" Tara yelled. Lily snapped back to her senses and dashed after the others. pursued by the metal monster. She managed to catch up with Parker. "We need weapons," he said. Weapons? Where could they find weapons? Lily patted her pockets, only to find that she and her friends' bomb bags had flown away from them, rolling toward the apparently magnetic robot. The dinosaur was completely blocking the police department. Stacy grabbed her arm, preventing her from crashing into a wall. A big window nearby revealed people walking around with luggage bags. The place had to be the airport, considerably big enough to hide. Lily found the door and burst through, slamming it shut once her friends joined her. They ran through the crowd and dove into the nearest Radio Shack store. Lily ran through a list of the most deadly things possible that you could make out of a phone. A blinding camera flash. Deafening music? No such luck. But there weren't just phones. Lily started toward the chainsaw aisle, because what Radio Shack doesn't have chainsaws? And almost immediately tripped over a box of heat-seeking tracker missiles. How that ended up in this shop, Lily would never know. She decided it was good for starters. She marched up to the register. The cashier, some gangly teenage boy, looked up and studied her with a bored expression, like she totally wasn't trying to buy an extremely destructive weapon. "Oh, that? $50.47, please." Lily patted her empty pockets in frustration. Her hand bumped into the remains of the gray shield. She grabbed it and waved it in the man's face. "This is 100% authentic, vintage Star Wars weaponry. If I were you, man, I would get it before the long lines for this thing start appearing." 30 seconds later, Lily lunged a large box of missiles out of the shop. She hid behind a big sign and emptied its contents. She quickly assembled the parts. Stacy gave advice whenever she got stuck. Lily loaded the first missile into the launcher as the front wall of the airport caved in, narrowly missing screaming travelers. The robot dinosaur stepped through the rubble, and Lily fired the hopefully trustworthy heat-seeking missile. With a high-pitched whee, the missile sailed into the robot's gluteus maximus and detonated. The dinosaur crumbled apart into a pile of smoking metal. Tara led the others toward it. Stacy kicked the steaming pile of metal. "This," she declared, "will make a strange news story." Thank you for listening. Stay tuned for Chapter 52. Don't forget to like and subscribe. In the description below, I've included links where you may find and purchase this book.